everyone, it's Caroline here from Aussie Cards and Crafts. Thank you for joining me today. Today what I would like to do is to show you this beautiful pull-out card. Now some of you might have seen it on the Facebook site because I actually made it earlier this week and popped it up there. And I had some really lovely comments and people wanted to see how I made it. So I thought I'd do a quick tutorial on this one. It is a very simple card, as you can see. It's very easy to put together. But yeah, the idea came from somebody I was watching on one of the YouTube channels, a lady in England by the name of Jan B. And I think she said that she got hers from a US demonstrator, Brenda Quintana. So yeah, there's a few of this style on the internet. I'm going to do a slightly different one this time. This one is a 6x6. The one I'm going to do today is a 7x5 card. So let's get started and we can go from there. So firstly, just a few things that I've used. The card that I've used is a Minte card and it's from 2018, so it probably isn't available now, but it's a beautiful card that has got the gorgeous flowers on it. I just love those poinsettias. So what I've done, I'll go through all of the measurements with you first, and then I will go more into how I've done everything because I've actually pre-done a lot of this for you. So I'll just grab my scoring board that will give us our measurements. Okay, so what you will need is you will need 2 base cards for this. So the first base card, oops, let's pop that round the right way. The first base card is going to be 10 inches by 7 inches. Okay, and at that 10-inch, on that 10-inch line, you are going to score at 5 inches. So that will just give you a 5x7 card. Okay, so you just fold that over. I'll use this to make the folds better in a moment. The second piece you need is you need another piece of 10x5. 10x7. And once again, along the 10-inch side, you are going to score at... Now, I've got to do this carefully, and I'll tell you why in a moment. You've got to score at 5 inches and then 7.5 inches. Okay, then you make this first fold over here, a mountain fold, and then you make the second fold, the middle fold, is going to be a valley fold. Now, what I have also done is I have cut, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see it, but you'll see that this one is slightly smaller. So I have cut off about 1/8 of an inch from this edge of the card. And the reason I've done that is because it is actually going to fit in here. And it just gives it just a little bit more room to fold over nicely and to get a nice crease there. So I've just taken about 1/8 of an inch. It could be 1/16 of an inch if you want. It really doesn't matter, but it's just so that it's not butting right up and then you get some over on the edge here. So there's basically your 2 pieces that you need to do. The other pieces that you will need is you will need a piece of pattern paper that will be 6 3/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches, and that is going to go on the front cover. Okay, and we're going to stick that down very securely in a moment, and we're going to cut a hole in it. The other piece that you will need is going to be in this little part here, and the size of that is going to be 6 1/4 inches by 2 1/4 inches. Okay, now I got this out of, as I say, a Minte paper, and what I found was I had quite a bit left over, so a little scraps. So what I have done is I have cut some of the pattern. As you can see, that one is the same as that one there. This one is pretty much the same as that one there. So I have cut these out of the paper that was left over, and what I'm going to do is I am going to pop these. I'll probably pop that one coming down from the top, and this one I'll have floating there, and I'm going to do a sentiment in the center. Now, On top of that, I need to have a sentiment for the front of the card as well. So we're going to have this piece on here. I have, just out of a scrap piece of paper or a scrap piece of card, glitter card, I have cut out Merry Christmas just there and just stuck it onto white. And I'm going to use the rest of it to actually mat that. Okay, so that will then sit there and it will really pop. So I'll do that a little bit later. The other pieces that I've done is from the same set. I managed to get this card here, and as you can see, I love this, and I've used quite a few of them. So what I have done is, for the center, for this little part here, I'm doing it round this time. I'm actually going to stick, there's another one round here somewhere. Let me get myself sorted out. I'm actually going to stick 2 of these. Now, I've got one bigger one and one smaller one when I can find it. And I am going to stick these on the center part just here. Okay. So that will fill that, that center part. Okay. So let's get started. I'm sure that other piece will turn up. I'm just looking on the ground here. Okay. So let's get started because it is a very simple, very easy card. Oh, just before I do, let me tell you the other things that I've used. I've used a paper rose, just a small Merry Christmas. That is the piece that I showed you before. That is just here. Okay, so that's just using that stamp, and I stuck it onto white. I'll trim that down in a moment. You do need some nested dies because what you need to do is, aside from doing your aperture in the front, you also need to do, I think it looks nice to have a border around it, so you need to do a frame. So I'll show you how to do that. And the sentiment that I'm going to put inside, I think will probably just be Merry Christmas. I might use one of these, but I think it will probably be just Merry Christmas. So let's get started. I really wish I knew where that other piece was. I know it was here before. So, okay, so on your first piece, you will need, let me just pop those aside. So on your first piece, use your tool there and make sure that you are doing nice creases. It really is important to have really good creases on this one. And don't forget the first one, as I said, the center needs to be really creased well, as does this one here. Okay, so this is going to effectively sit in here, like so. What we need to do first, though, is we do need to make sure that we have, so I'm still looking for that piece that I've lost. I'm sure it will turn up. Okay, what we do need to do is we need to stick this onto our top piece here. So I'm just going to use just a little bit of liquid glue. Now make sure that you pop this all over, okay, not just the edges but also in the center. So right, which way do I want it up? I like that way, I think. So this will have an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. That's what we've allowed. So we stick that on like so, and we allow that to dry. And it is important that we allow that to dry before we actually use our die cutting. Okay, I'll just pop that over to the side for the moment. And this is our second piece. So this is the inside of the card. So this is effectively this piece just here. So there, there, and there. So what we need to do for this one is we need to make, as I said, the first fold there is going to be a mountain fold. The second fold is going to be a valley fold. And don't forget, you're going to take between an 1/8 of an inch to 1/16 of an inch off that side, just so it fits in nicely. So there's that piece that will be done. The second, the other thing that you need to do is you need to make a frame. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are quite aware of how to make a frame. Let me pop this one back together for you. What I had is I had 2 two of my nested dies. Okay, now one larger one and one that is the next size in. I tape them together so that we can keep them at the right size, and then pop them onto a piece of whatever card you want. When it goes through the die cutting machine and you pull it apart, you then have this, because that is actually the part between that cutting line and that cutting line, and it gives a beautiful frame. I don't need that, but I'm going to pop that aside because I'm sure I'll find some use for it later. Okay, what we need to do is we need to wait for this to dry before we cut it out. But what we're going to do is we are going to use the smallest one of these. So I'll take them apart now. And we are going to make sure that there is a hole just there. Now, because I want Merry Christmas on the front down the bottom, we're going to have to allow room for that as well. So while this is drying, we will get on with this particular piece. So what I've got here is I have a piece, as I said, this one is 6 1/4 inches long and 2 1/4 inches wide. And that is going to be stuck on just there so that when it folds over, you can still see some of the pattern. So let's go ahead and do that. You can use tape for this if you wish, entirely up to you. I tend to use glue more than anything because it just gives a little bit more wiggle room. So and we pop it into that frame there. So you've got your mountain fold there and you've got your valley fold there, and you pop it in there. I've also cut out these two, and they were from the leftovers of the card, and I'm going to pop one of those, I think probably up there, and one down here, and then I'm going to stamp a sentiment in the center of that. So I'll just glue those down as well. So that effectively is pretty much the inside done. What I do need to do, and I'll need to go and grab a, just bear with me for a moment, I just need to get an acrylic block for this. Okay, so going back to our, I think Merry Christmas for this one. There's a bit going on, so... And this one, I don't know where I got this from. Probably got it from the local craft store here. But it is a lovely stamp. I've just called it traditional. So, there's the other one. There you go. I knew it would turn up. So, making sure that it's right with and it's straight there. I'm going to stamp it in red because there's a lot of red on this card, and I don't particularly want it in blue, and I don't particularly want it in green. So I'm going to stamp it in the red. And the red that I've got here is Love Letter, it's called, and it's a Memento product. Now, I'm going to bring this down a little bit to me so that I can make sure that I get this where I want it. Whoa, that's not a good start. It has to go there because I made a mistake and it touched the paper, so I don't really have much choice. It has to go right there. Okay, and there you can see I've made that little mistake, but that will do. That's not a problem. So, clean the stamp off. Always a good idea to keep the stamps nice and clean so that they're ready for next time when you want to use that particular stamp. Okay, so there's that one. Now, let's see how we're going for the drying time. That's the inside pretty much done. So, put that aside. What I might do is, while I'm still waiting for that to dry properly, I might just go onto our sentiment and I'm going to use my trusty little tool here. I'll lift that up so that, and this is my small guillotine, which I actually really like it. It cuts really nice and sharp. So there we go, there's one, and I just need to take some off of the top as well. So I will. You got the lovely grids here that you can see that you are making it straight. So I'm going to go there, I think. Okay, so there's my Merry Christmas. And what I'm going to do there is I'm actually going to attach that to there, which you always use red tape when you're, or not necessarily red, but you always use tape. I'll leave that there for a moment. Always use tape when you're putting anything to either a mirror card or a glitter card. Just got to find. Excuse my head if it's in the way. There we go. And I'm going to take that off for the time being. And I'm wanting that to make sure that I've got a nice even border around it and that it is straight. And that one's not quite straight. So once again, sorry about my head, but I just need to make sure it is. There we go, there's that. And then this one here, I know this is straight, so I can pretty much line it up with the lines there. And that is going to be our sentiment for the front. Okay, so let's go back to our first piece now, which is the piece that we securely stuck the paper on. And I don't think I'm going to use this glue again. It's kind of warping the paper, so it'll be all right for this demonstration, but yeah, not that happy with it. So because we're going to have our border on there as well, we need to make sure that we don't use the big one, otherwise it won't, our circle won't fit. So that can go back into its container. This one here is the one that we need to do. Now we need to center that to make sure that you've got even distance between there and there. You can measure if you want, entirely up to you. I'm just going to eyeball it. And I've always got little bits of this tape sitting on either my die cutting machine or my desk. So I'll just pop that down there. And I will grab my plates and we'll pop that through so that we have got a lovely big hole in our card. Okay, now this might not cut through the first time because it is two fairly thick layers of card. But it has that. That's great. Okay, so let's take the tape off. Being very careful not to damage your pattern card there. Oh, that did take that off. Goodness me. Let's go back from. Looks like I'm going to have a flower there of some kind, because that has actually taken some of that flower off. So be careful with what you use. You don't need that, but I'm sure you'll be able to use it for something else. Okay, so let's pop our board away. And now what we need is our frame. So we need to glue our frame on like so. Okay, so I ended up using this one, which is a craft glue. It sets a lot quicker than the one that I was using, and I think I will pop some of this into one of those little containers that I've got here, because they just make it easier, especially for smaller things. Okay, so now the piece that I told you didn't need, you actually do need for this. What you need to do though is you need to make sure that wherever you cut it from, that you get it in the right position. Okay, so that you've got the continuity of that. So what we're going to do now is we are going to glue this in here, and then when we're done, we are going to glue that in the right position on here. Okay, so let's get my glue, and so once again, you can use tape if you want, but it's really important that you line up down the side just here, and making sure that everything lines up top and bottom. So now we've got this piece here, and this piece is going to go let me have a little look. I think it's that way up. Maybe? No. That's it, just there. Okay, so that's where that's going to go. And what you need to do is you can actually, if you want to make it easier for yourself, you can actually place it there, pull your cover up, and then using a pencil, which I'm sure I have around here somewhere, yep, just very gently put a mark on the outside, just so you know where you're going to have to put your glue. Okay, so once again, I'm going to use this glue because I didn't like the other one. And making sure that you don't glue anything that shouldn't be there. You're going to glue that down. Okay, so you can see the continuity of your pattern on your papers, and then that there is in exactly the right spot. What we now need to do is we now need to put these on. Now, what I've done with these is I've cut them out, as I said, from this favourite old sheet here. As you can see, it's been well used. I then used some glue and some glitter on the actual berries and the centre of the flowers on both pieces. I used a product called Glossy Accents on the actual red part of the flower, and then I used my finger just to make the leaves stand up a little bit and to break that, to break the paper there. So that one, now when you're popping these on, please be aware that they must stay within this circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the two of these on here, I think. Maybe not. I'll probably just have the one, I think. I thought it would be big enough for two, but it's not. No, I'm just going to have the one, and I'm going to pretty much center that. So what I'm going to use for this is I'm going to use a little bit of, just to give it a bit of dimension, because where I've folded those leaves up, I'm going to pop it over on the back, and I'm going to use some dimensional tape on the center. And I'll just pop two pieces there. And then I will take off the red. And then I will position it, making sure that none of these edges go over the edge of that circle. Okay, so that looks about right. There we go. And there is the start of our card. So basically you open it up and you've got all of that. And I think this is beautiful. This one I'm going to use some dimensional tape there. So I'm going to use the foam tape as well. Where did I pop that? There it is. And I think about there. Should look pretty good. And there we have it. There is our card. So that was the one that I did during the week. I'll just move some of these glues out of the way. I don't think we need those all around at the moment. So there we go. There's the first one. Now this one I actually did stamp and colour those. The same as I stamped and coloured the igloo there. So there was that. And that one is a 6x6 and it's got the diamantes. Oops, I think I just took one of them off. I'll have to replace that one. But it's got the diamantes on the card. And the next one that I did just with you then was the 7x5 version. And the 7x5 version, once again, same thing. You can do it whatever colour you want. Sorry, whatever size you want. Just make sure that you adhere to the making sure that the centre there, and you can use whatever shape too, but make sure that the centre there does sit nicely and that you don't have anything overlapping that circle there, because if you do, it will not open. Okay. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have some fun with it. I've got a few others that I want to put up as well, so you'll probably see me fairly soon, sooner rather than later. If you've enjoyed the tutorial, please put a thumbs up underneath and maybe subscribe to my channel. I'd really would appreciate that. If you're not a member of our Facebook site, please head on over to Aussie Cards and Crafts. Now, that is a Facebook site. I think we've got something like 1,700 members at the moment, and that's growing daily. So please don't be shy. Come on over. Let's have a look and see, what some of your work is like as well, because we get so much inspiration from our lovely members. So yeah, pop a request in there, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Otherwise, thank you for joining me, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.